Listen, I need to tell you on today that there is faith even through failure. There is faith even through failure. You notice a lot of the times it is when we're doing something, when we're called to something, be it the calling over your life, the assignment that God has given you, or something He's put on your heart. I think there's an amount of intentional faith that has to come along with the possibility of failure. Is that I may not be equipped for it, I may not know too much about it, I may not be too much educated or versed in this particular topic or subject, but still God will call me for it. I think a lot of the times we think of things as we see them in the natural and not really subject ourselves or position ourselves to receiving things in the spiritual. Is that if God would call you for something, then He's going to permit you to be equipped for the position. Is that why would He make you, I guess, subset to being embarrassed for His namesake? That it is that He's the one that purposed you for the mission. That He's not going to send you out there like the temp agency, not trained and not really well performed in what it is that you're about to do or achieve in the season of your life. So that God would be intentional about the purpose for what it is that He's pushing you to that passion. Listen, you notice here in Luke chapter 22, we find, I think around verse 32, that Simon is being talked to by Jesus, the Simon Peter. And He says to him, listen, Simon, Satan desires to have you. I mean, he came to me, asked me if he could have you. Now, I know, because I know the enemy, that his intent, Jesus says, is he plans to sift you like wheat. He continues in the next verse by saying, but I've prayed for you, Simon. I've prayed for you that your faith won't fail. And when you've turned back, strengthen your brothers. I think that's a word we need to pause there parenthetically and let somebody know in the room on this morning that God is praying for you. He's not only praying for you, but watch what it is He's praying for. He's praying not only that you not survive the situation. He's not praying that you would overcome it. For all intensive purposes, for the lack of use of negativity, God is not praying for your success. He's not praying that you envelop in it. He's not praying that you evolve in it. He's not praying that you morph to the ways of the world. He's not praying for you to get a better body. He's not praying for you to get a sexier. He's not praying for you to get a more advanced phone, a more sporty car. God is not praying for you to get the promotion on the job. God is not praying for that. He's praying that your faith won't fail. I think that's good for somebody in the room on this morning to know that God is praying for me in a spiritual way when I'm dealing with a natural situation. A lot of the times that we take things that are natural and leave them just there is that if I'm put out, then I need to resort to a better option of how I need to max out my credit and go get a house. That must be signed that the way it is God is moving in this season. And I tell you all throughout the Bible that you will see that in their faith walk is that making a step presented something to them. You notice that in the Old Testament, I believe it's Samuel or somewhere, where it is that the lady comes before the priest and she's like, listen, we ain't got no oil. We don't have but a little bread that I've made for me and my son's last meal. Is that you can be preparing to die, and that's when God will require you to walk. And sometimes your strength of not even eating can bring you to a subjective place to not even want to walk and see what's ahead of you. If she had sat at home, ate the bread, been complacent in her situation, then like she would believe in what Jesus is saying here, that Simon is going to fail, that he's praying for his faith. Why just the faith? Because your faith will predict you, your faith will project you, your faith will propel you into a position where it is the blessing is already there available. If it is that we have to do is knock and the door will be open, we have to seek and we'll be able to find, we have to ask and God to give it to us, then it must be readily available. So we serve a God who's not only willing, but my Bible says He's able. So we're not just talking about hypotheticals here, we're talking about your Father who loves you. He says He is Abba Father, that we are adopted heirs to the throne of God, that we are one with Christ, that we would be with Him reigning forever and eternity. Is that for God's reign no ends, and because He breathes through us, and we then connect in that spirit and understand my faith can't fail. It may be tied to the prayer of non-failure, but my faith won't fail. You know how I know my faith won't fail? Because my Bible tells me Jesus is praying that your faith won't fail. That it is that it don't matter what it looks like. It can be raining outside, but you have joy in your heart because you know when it comes time for you to leave, God will either clear it or he'll make an umbrella. I don't really care if I got the money or don't have the money. Then like, I know God will either give it or God will pay it. So we find ourselves behind dealing with natural situations, and whole time this is the enemy in the background fighting us in the spiritual. And the more we try and find out and figure out what these things are, the Simon can get consumed in this situation and be like, God, I don't believe that. I don't really subscribe to that. That ain't a word I'm going to receive on today. The attack still would have happened. The attempt still would have came. For the word was already spoken, projected, perceived for the future prophetically over his life. That you have to go through some stuff. Stop equating God to make life extra easy. That we're going to float through everything. Because you're not. It says some stuff is going to cost you some wounds. Some stuff is going to cost you some cuts. Some stuff is going to cost you some sleepless nights. It's going to cost you some worry. It's going to cost you some bond money. It's going to cost you some of your joy. It's going to cost you some of your happiness. It may even cost you a person or your position. It's going to cost you. And he says, in those situations, don't lose faith. You cannot get to the point where I start doubting God enough that I don't even have faith to believe in God I trust. You have to be able to subject your flesh to the will of the Spirit and say, for him I live, for him I die. For the Lord gives and it takes away, but blessed be the name of the Lord. I push you into your purpose placed on today to know that for in perplexion, that's how God performs. That we have to get through those tests, seeing the power of God, how he works. I'm going to tell you something. So God will put you in a place of positional power where I'm not in a position to make it happen. And when you can subject yourself to the reality that God, I can't do it. You're right. I am going to fail. And he's like, I'm just praying for your faith. That whatever you're speaking out your mouth, believing in your heart, that's mustard seed size faith. God says, I can work with that. That's enough. I'm sealing that in so that whatever it is you believe, I'm going to make happen. You probably can't see it because you can't make it happen. That's fine. Speak it, believe it, know it. God said, I'll make it happen. Consequently, he then becomes a rent payer. Consequently, he then becomes a burden bearer. Consequently, he becomes eyesight to the blind. He becomes ear to those that cannot hear. He becomes love to those that are loveless. Those that need hope, he becomes hope. He'll be whatever it is that you want him to be. But you have to get into position of admission. Stop denying it. No, I'm going to death with you. No, you ain't. You're going to deny me a few times. Deal with it. Confess that. Yes, I'm a liar. Yes, I'm a cheater. Yes, I've done some things in my... I'm still doing... You have to confess that. Because you have to expose it before the enemy does. You're going to fail. You're a failure. That's okay. Fail. Fail big. As big as you can. Keep on failing. Just don't lose faith. To know I may fail today. Fail in an hour. Fail in 3 years. Fail in a third marriage. But I never lost my faith. God bless you today.